Post. And post. And mute. Get the pop-out chat back out. Then go over to this so we can see how many people are watching. And looks like we're good to go. Hey guys, RanterInShades here, exercising my first to memorize stream style, back again. This is going to be a follow-up to the last stream I did on election day after I had gotten back from voting. I wasn't one of the people who voted early absentee, mostly because I just didn't really feel much of a need to do that. I didn't think it would make much of a difference personally, but, you know, if you felt strongly about it, then, you know, then okay, you know, I can't fault you for that. I can't really argue with you. I just didn't do that. So today we're just going to be talking about this ride, this wild ride that was this past week. And I'm going to plan on going for about a couple hours because Sunday is when I do my weekly errands and whatnot. Although, one thing I said in the last stream was that my state instated a curfew. I was slightly misinformed about that. Restaurants are still allowing takeout and drive-through. It's just that, you know, you're sort of encouraged to, you know, come earlier, but they still operate under normal hours with that going on. So I was a bit misinformed on that, so I'm not really feeling in as much of a rush. But yeah, so Biden is president. So let's talk about this. So, while I was doing the last stream and in the hours following that stream, I had the live updating map open because I just wanted to keep track of everything, see how everything was going, and by, like, the end of the night, like, Biden and Trump were, like, neck and neck with each other. Like, the red states were kind of piling in, especially when both Texas and Florida, two of the bigger swing states and whatnot with a lot of electoral votes on them, they went red, and that's when Trump really started catching up, and I was honestly thinking, you know, Trump could pull ahead. But what ended up happening, Biden was still, like, barely in the lead. But what ended up happening was that after, you know, a lengthy period of time where everything was basically stagnant, we saw Arizona flip to blue. Nevada, of course, was just stuck. Like, I'm sure you guys all saw a bunch of memes that were coming out about Nevada being slow. My favorite being, it was showing Patrick petting Nevada saying, "It's okay, Rocky, you can go when you feel like it." And we also saw Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, and Pennsylvania all flip to blue. And I was like, whoa, that's big, dude. And yesterday, Nevada and Pennsylvania both went blue. I think Georgia is still needing to do so. It doesn't even really matter at this point because Biden passed the 270 mark needed, and he is president. He gave his acceptance speech last night, and yeah, come January, Trump will be out of office. So all you anti-Trump people, you getting what you wanted, generally speaking anyway. And honestly, while I'm not anti-Trump per se, I do think it's sort of for the best. The main reason being, and this was actually, and you guys are probably going to, go, what? When I mention this, but I actually ended up voting for Biden for mainly the one reason I'm sure a lot of people did, and that was COVID. You know, because honestly, COVID is like the big wild card, the thing that makes 2020 the big wild card. You know, I can't help but think that in an alternate universe where COVID didn't exist, Trump probably would have won, because I remember thinking back in the primaries that if anybody other than Bernie Sanders or Andrew Yang would be nominated by the DNC, if anybody other than them got the nomination, then it would pretty much be a guarantee win for Trump. He would get his second term. But at the same time, you know, people like the media were touting Biden as being the best to defeat Trump, the most electable candidate in the Democratic Party. And I just didn't see it. Not just because of how loopy he was and whatnot, saying the really silly shit that he was, but because I just thought he was not that great, like kind of weak if I'm to be honest. You know, especially compared to Andrew Yang or Bernie Sanders or even Tulsi Gabbard. And I remember by the time that Bernie dropped out, and when it was clear that Biden was going to get the nomination, I remember saying, you know, well, if Trump ends up winning, you kind of brought this on yourselves. You didn't learn anything from 2016. You once again ended up going with the safe bet. You once again ended up going with the one with the most recognizable name since he was Obama's vice president. This is just like 2016. So it really did seem that way to me. And I continued feeling that way for many, many months. And I was preparing to vote third party again, just like I did in 2016, because I've always been under the belief that if you really don't like a candidate, why vote for them? And along with that, I really just didn't want, I just really didn't like the lesser of two evils mindset, because the problem I've always had with that is that you're not so much voting for a candidate, you're voting against the other one. And I honestly felt like that was like really the only reason anybody would vote for Joe Biden, much because that was pretty much the only reason anybody voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. And that's not to say that people on the right weren't the same at all, because I'm sure there were people that voted for Trump because they wanted to vote against Hillary in 2016 or against Biden this year. But once again, the biggest difference between this election and the 2016 one to me was really COVID. That's why I'm calling it the wild card. And so that's why, you know, honestly, I felt like, you know what? Biden obviously is taking COVID more seriously. The only glimpses I got of the debates when I was like going downstairs and passing through and my mom was watching the debates, the only thing I listened to was when they were talking about COVID. And, you know, I could take what Biden was saying a lot more seriously than Trump. I was hoping that when Trump caught COVID, that, you know, I was hoping for two things. The first is that maybe he would, you know, have a complete change of attitude about the thing and start actually taking it seriously. You know, it's sort of like a, you know, karma catching up and all that. But what I was also hoping, what I was also hoping was that, since Trump has like access to like the best healthcare in the world, if he can get cured, everyone can. So that's why I wasn't one of these people saying, you know, I hope he dies from COVID. Not just because I think that's really dickish, but because for the sake of everybody else, for the sake of everyone else in the world, that would be the best. But as we would end up seeing, you know, Trump really didn't learn a thing. He was still, you know, downplaying the thing, not taking it seriously. He was like, oh, I'm all better now. I'm all cured. I'm totally immune now, guys. And I don't know if it's so much he was lying to everyone or lying to himself. like, maybe he genuinely wanted to believe that he was all better, but I don't know if I didn't believe him. I don't think a lot of people believed him. And that was another thing that really said to me, yeah, honestly, Biden, say what you want about him, but he's taken it a lot more seriously. And if you want to call me a hypocrite for, voting for him, that's fine. I don't exactly disagree with that. But regardless, he is president now, and all I really got to say is, well played. Good on you, sir. Good show. Didn't think you had it in him, but you did. Color me surprised. I genuinely didn't think that, he would do it, but, I will take the L on that. Everyone that was saying he was the electable one, you were right. I was wrong. I will own up to that. I will concede to that. I will take the L on that. Good on you. Now that we're done talking about that, let's talk about the aftermath. So, one thing that I definitely noticed, and I'm sure you guys noticed it too, was the reaction to Biden winning, the reaction to Trump losing. It's not all that different from in 2016. Honestly, there's some real butthurt from the MAGA crowd, just like there was real butthurt from the left in 2016. There were people, back then going like, in your face, ha ha ha, when Hillary lost. And there are people that are, liberal, kind of doing the same thing now. And, you're allowed to be happy, just like the right was allowed to be happy in 2016. The right is allowed to be upset at this, just like the left was allowed to be upset. You're allowed to feel however you want to feel. I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong for feeling a certain way, that you're not allowed to, or anything like that. But I do think that everybody should cool it. Don't go too far with the ha-ha, in-your-face conservatards. And also, to said conservatards, I don't want to see any rioting, because it would make you no better than the people that rioted back in 2016. It would make you hypocrites. And, it would prove that, the whole thing about you being like the more mature party was nothing but bullshit. And, the further you take it, the more exposed that fact is going to be. Another thing with the whole, stop the count, and, Trump threatening lawsuits in places like Georgia and I think Pennsylvania and Arizona as well. To me, that's no different than the people that were in 2016 saying, Russia interfered with the election. It's like, good job. You've proven horseshoe theory. I will never, ever, ever listen to anyone that tries to tell me that horseshoe theory is bullshit. This election proved it. And for that, I'm quite happy. I'm quite pleased with that. So, what else do I have to say other than that? I suppose a message to both of them. Actually, no. I'll do that first, and then... Actually, no. One thing that I want to get across, I posted this on my fan page yesterday, as well as on my personal Facebook. Trump might not be president in 2021, but that shouldn't mean that we should forget the lessons from Emp Lemon's Trump video. I watched it the night before Election Day as mental preparation. I watched it last night as sort of a celebration of sorts, and sort of looked at it from the perspective of somebody watching it now for the first time in the here and now. And, we shouldn't forget the lessons from that video. Not just because of the possibility of Trump trying to run again in 2024, which I'm personally really skeptical of happening. But not just because of that, but because there could be another candidate in 2024 that utilizes that same strategy described in that video. There could also be somebody with a lot of name recognition, like what Donald Trump had, like what Joe Biden technically had, that overshadows a candidate that might, or candidates, that might actually be good. That was another thing that played in Trump's favor in the 2016 election. It played in Hillary's too, but it definitely played in Trump's favor. It could definitely happen again. So it's not like that video is completely irrelevant now, especially now that, now that Trump isn't president or anything like that. It's not like it's completely irrelevant, it's outdated, it doesn't hold up or anything like that. The lessons from that video are still valid. That video should be treated as a cautionary tale. A cautionary tale of, like, every, like, election going forward. There could be somebody who basically follows that same playbook. And you shouldn't be surprised when you see that happening, since it worked so well for Trump and all that. So, never forget that. That video will forever be legendary for me, one of Emp's best. And yeah. Another thing, I said this in the last stream, and I will say it again here. Fuck, why did I lose my train of thought? Oh yeah. One thing I would like to see going forward, maybe not so much immediately now, but after Biden's inauguration, one thing I would really, really, really like to see is I would like to see Trump derangement syndrome just vanish. I would like to see less and less complaining about what he says on Twitter and all that, because of course he's gonna fucking run his mouth, but as I've definitely probably said somewhere here before, Trump is nothing more than a media troll. That's what he was throughout the 2016 election. That's what he continued to be throughout his presidency. He's going to continue to run his mouth like the media troll that he is, and much like what we're taught to do with regular trolls on here, the way to deal with trolls is to ignore them. So, I would like people to ignore Trump and not, continue to, what the fuck, oh, it's Discord. I like people to, not give him as much attention as he got this year, especially because he won't be president and whatnot. Like, obviously, he still has a platform. He obviously still has influence. He obviously still has, supporters. But it's not like he has the level of influence that he did as president. If you want to, call him out for being an asshole, I guess that's okay. But the Trump derangement syndrome, like I said, I would like that to be less and less of a thing, because he's not going to be president. Biden is. So you should focus on what he says, what he does. And if you have a problem with that, it's your right as either someone in this country or someone that's not in this country and is, observing, what's going on over here. It's your right to voice your perspective on that. Anyone that says otherwise, that's anti-First Amendment. So, do that. That should be fine. Still try to not be dicks and whatnot. Try to be cool. Be what you wanted the right wing to be these past 4 years. Actually prove that you are better. And the way to do that is by being better. Now for my message to the two of them. So, I'll start with Trump. I think right now, Trump, you need to take the L, But Biden passed the finish line, it's kind of tortoise in the hare and the way slow and steady wins the race, and he's certainly slow, am I right? But this is the way that the country works. This is the way the election system works. that's how you got to win the 2016 election, and, you know, Biden won fair and square, or at least as fair and square as he could have won in a year like this. But the bottom line is, he's going to be president, you're not, and I think you should accept that, just like Hillary had to accept it in 2016. You know, the shoe's kind of on the other foot, and I think now this might be a good character moment for you, but that's up to you. And to Biden, well, I already said, you know, good on you, sir. And I hope that he is at least not terrible, not shit or anything like that. Like, I said the same thing, not on here, but, like, with other people in my real life and whatnot. But, you know, when Trump got elected, the most I really said was, you know, I hope he isn't as terrible. I hope he doesn't do too much stupid shit and all that. You know, I'd like to think that he won't be as much of a monster as everyone was acting like he would be. And I still don't think he completely was. He did do and say a lot of really not good things, especially when it came to COVID. But, you know, I still had, you know, my optimism, and I'm going to have that optimism for Biden as well. I would like for him to not be terrible, to at least be okay. You know, not do too much damage or anything like that. You know, I'm sure he has great intentions with that, and I wish you luck with that. And the only other thing that I have to say for that is, enjoy Escalatorland. Enjoy it to the best that your heart will allow you to. And I think that's all I have to say about that. So, yeah, this is a thing. Oh, and I think I just realized another thing, actually. Another thing I have to say to Trump. Enjoy these last couple months. You know, just have make the most of it, I guess. Just enjoy your last couple months being in the White House before you have to give the keys over to Joe. You know, just enjoy yourself. You know, indulge in some nice things, some fun things to make you feel at least a little better and whatnot. You know, obviously, you know, we don't want him to do any outrageous shit or anything between now and January and whatnot. It's unknown if he actually will do anything like that. People are definitely speculating that he might. I'm not too entirely sure. But, you know, either way, you know, just live it up, I guess. Make the most of these last couple months before you have to move out. And, you know, be honorable about it. And yeah. And that is that. Also, to all African Americans who voted Trump, the melanin extractor awaits you. So brace yourselves and prepare yourselves, because it is coming. And that, I think, is all I actually have to say about that. And I apologize for going super wild-winded and not paying attention to the chat. Melanin Extractor 2020, exactly. America is no longer the laughingstock of the Western world. It probably still will be, because, you know, COVID is still, because we're still, like, #1 in COVID. But hopefully that won't be for long. Hopefully, something can be done. I'm kind of banking on things, reaching a level of normalcy by March, I want to say. Mostly because that's when the my next concert got postponed to. Yeah. Poor kids are just as bright as white kids. Yeah, that was a dumb talk. That was a dumb point. Because, it's sort of equating poor with non-white, and it's like, that's not entirely true. It's not always true. Georgia is still suspended in blue, while Alaska and North Carolina are still suspended in red. I mean, honestly, if North Carolina ends up flipping, that'll be really hilarious. A lot of people are saying COVID is what pushed Trump out of favor for them. Pretty much. Like, honestly, like I was kind of alluding to before, I feel like people were less voting for Biden and voting against Trump, and COVID was a big factor in that. People who support Biden are lost on history and have no clue that Biden is a socialist and racist, LMAO said. Who are you and why am I subbed to you? You probably subbed because of a countdown or a metal elitist video or something. MAGA tears are delicious as those liberal tears were 4 years ago. This year proves some people got fed up with Trump. It proved that too. Again, COVID, I think, was a very big factor with that. The first one was atrocious. COVID was a plandemic. That's why Gates got a hard-on for Biden. No, I don't believe that. I'll admit the memes were slightly better in the last election. They really were. Hopefully some better ones come soon. You have a 99% survival rate. Here comes the anti-masker. Yeah, layman talks. I think you need to cool it. Kind of what I was saying before. When Trump said that, I figured he is behaving like a man-child. Cope. I felt right voting independent. Sure, it didn't come through because fuck the two popular party system. But at the same time, I'm happy the Trump humpers are getting their just desserts, pretty much. The courts haven't decided that yet. I don't think it really matters at this point. Also, did I call on the Electoral College or what? That's another thing, too. Another thing is, everyone in 2016 was saying, fuck the Electoral College, it needs to be abolished. Well, that same Electoral College is what got Trump to lose his second term. So, I think you understand now what the point of the Electoral College is supposed to be. So, it might not be the best, but honestly, it's kind of a necessity, I personally think. That's not how the law of the land works. The MSM doesn't decide. I never said that. Yeah, but in my opinion, 2020 has been a really intense year, pretty much. Electoral College is the geriatric committee. Sorry, not sorry. Trump continues to refuse to concede. We'll wait. Like I said, I don't think he really has anything to gain by not conceding. But you never know with him. Layman, there's no way it will be turned over, dumbass. Yeah, exactly. I agree. Everyone should cool it since opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one. Some Trump supporters do push things too far. It's gross. Stop the count. The suing part, oof. 75 years of study. Evidence from 14 randomized controlled trials of these measures did not support a substantial effect on transmission of laboratory-confirmed influenza. What does that have to do with anything? I suspect Kanye might pull the Trump moves if he was president. I don't think Kanye would really do anything. He would just, party and goof around all the time. Gore was president-elect. Guess what happened? This isn't fucking 2000. I bet Trump boycotts Biden's inauguration. Probably. Maybe something like that. Al Gore's old lady is also why we have the parental advisory sticker. Indeed. Fuck Tipper Gore. Fucking... That fucking hag. Ignoring trolls is the best way they have been on the internet since... They have been around longer since 2012 and 2009. Trolls have been around since the internet came into existence, and especially when the internet became more of a widespread phenomenon. 2000 election was the closest. Yeah, this one was also very close. It was so neck and neck for a while. It was like, damn, I'm really on the edge of my seat. Why am I feeling like this? Like, what you mean to say is I don't want to listen to... What? No, nobody is fucking saying that, Layman. Dude, shut up. Dude. You are being exactly like I was fucking describing in this. Dude. You know, you should be saying to yourself, this shoe really does feel comfortable on me. Yeah, the Trump derangement is annoying since, yeah, a lot of people, of course, have different opinions, and I remain neutral about Trump, where I don't like him or hate him. Yeah, and I can understand your perspective since, you know, you, evil gangster, are Canadian, just like how coffee is British. I can understand that perspective and whatnot. But yeah, in a way, I'm sort of in that same boat. I'm not anti-Trump per se. I'm just not a Trump supporter. But yeah, Biden won, and that's that. And Trump still investigates voter fraud. Again, it's just like the Russian thing. Lol, Biden didn't even have a notable turnout at his rallies. Okay, what's up, Ranter? Just because Biden won does not mean it's all sunshine and rainbows. He does not have a good wrap-up sheet. That's, of course, true, too. You know, obviously, Biden does not have a magic wand that he'll just go bing, and then everything will be like all amazing and whatnot. It's not going to be like that. I learned that when Obama won in 2008, because I remember back then I was... the one thing that I was taking notice of was the economy being in a shit position. And I was hoping that if Obama won, then the economy would have this major turnaround, and I didn't really see that happening. And that's why, the big thing I try to pay attention to a lot in these elections is economic strategy, because I personally believe the biggest problem in the country is the state of the economy. COVID, though, was like the only thing that I feel outranked that, because, COVID kind of proved to be more powerful than the economy. Like, we saw another recession go on when COVID started hitting, and so it's like, okay, yeah. If I'm gonna, vote based on anything else, it'll probably be that. I mean, the voter fraud could be a thing, but who knows, and I don't really have any problems with... I don't have many problems with Biden, though. LMAO. Fuck. I just voted independent. I'm not a Biden or a Trump supporter. Don't lump me with others. I'm my own individual. That is all. Have a wonderful day. That is cool. If anybody's going to judge you, you are missing the point. We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. Oh, God. Oh, sweet baby Asimov. Melanin Extractor 2020. Yes, the Melanin Extractor. To be young and naive. Oh, my God. I think more votes were more antis than pros, pretty much. The Electoral College argument is a sour grapes argument. I'm just saying, if the whole thing still isn't settled by next year, there's always the Thunderdome. Quick, someone get Tina Turner. We don't need another hero. What are the cons about Biden? Mostly his age, his mental state, and, things along those lines. That's at least the thing that is the most apparent to the majority of people. But yeah, I'm sorry, layman talks. I really don't want to deal with conspiracy theorists. I'm sorry. You know, you can believe what you want to believe, but calm down. Like I said, you're allowed to be upset at the election, but I think you should not take it out on me and the people in this chat. Honestly, people are going to lose so many friends over that's what happened in 2016. I really hate when that happens. I think it's really dumb that people allow that to happen. Because I like to think that people are better than that, but honestly, you know, this is why that Don't Agree With Me Unfriend Me video was made, is because of people like that. Ugh. Let me know if you want me to time him out. If you want to, be my guest. Yeah, exactly. It's pathetic and sad. Yeah, and that's the biggest reason why I made the decision this year to the best of my ability, to just, you know, not bother with a lot of political shit and whatnot. Obviously, I can't say I will never do that, because that's kind of an impossibility. But, I mean, this is what politics does to people. It makes them angry. It makes them irritable. It makes them very trigger happy. And honestly, you know, it's not something I want going on. You know, I have my own mental health things and whatnot. It's just not good. Not good for me. Not good for a lot of people with mental health issues and things like that. So, that's why I really feel, personally, the less political people are, the happier, the better their mood is. I don't expect everybody to get that. I don't expect everyone to agree with that. But honestly, you know, I do see a bit of a correlation between how involved you are in politics and your mood. I'm not upset, lol. I was sharing historical information. You're allowed to be upset, but for the love of John Galt, be mature about it and don't Exactly. Thank you, Oleander. And not to mention UTF. Yep, him too. You know, he's someone that's definitely going to be... He's going to be fucking reeing either way and whatnot. Because he is never happy. And speaking of that, Mary Dansmas 2 is all edited. I don't know if it's going to be the next video I post. I do have an idea I'm kind of toying with to work on between now and when Mary Dansmas 2 comes out. But get excited for that. Honestly, I just hate the us versus them attitude when it comes to these topics. Exactly, me too. I'm a free thinker. I'm not for Biden or Trump. They have their own flaws. Exactly. You know. And that was the thing, you know, when Biden ended up getting the nomination. Like, the reason I was kind of bummed out when Yang and Sanders dropped out is because they were like the two people that were like the kind of people that would be like, yeah, I actually kind of want to vote for them. But Biden just isn't that. And that's really just the unfortunate thing. Which is, again, what kind of said to me that the DNC really didn't learn a thing from 2016. They went with the name recognition. They went with the establishment friendly. They went with the safe bet and whatnot. And I'd like to hope that they don't do that ever again, and that the Republicans don't do that either. But we will see. Read Biden's 1994 crime bill. If he types something else in here, it's banhammer time. Both Trump and Biden I did not like, and both have different pros and cons. I can understand that Wizard House and Skull Ripper hates Trump. But to call someone a dumb fuck over an opinion is a bit too far. Yes. I'm definitely not as political. I'm more environmentalist or tree hugger peace person. You fucking hippie. I for sure have some independent views thing for myself. Maybe Yang could try again in 2024. Maybe not 2024, but 2028. Depending on what ends up happening and whatnot. Actually, no, never mind that. But I don't think there can be another Democrat running when there's already a Democrat as president. I don't think that's how it works. Maybe I'm wrong on there, but I don't know. But, like, whether or not Biden is a one-term or two-term president, I feel like 8 years from now, either way, is when, you know, maybe Yang could give it another go, and that would be really cool to see. I remember kind of feeling similar about Bernie Sanders back then, but I was kind of skeptical on that because I was honestly thinking he would probably be either dead or on the verge of death this year. That will definitely be the case 8 years from now, but yeah. I see myself as a hippie minus the tree hugging, more in regards to free love and marijuana should be legalized for medicinal purposes. I got no problem with marijuana legalization, mostly because, you know, mostly from like sort of a freedom of expression perspective and whatnot. Like, if you want to do it, you should do it, just as long as you don't overdo it and take it too far and do something to hurt yourself physically or mentally. And I'd like to think a lot of marijuana users are capable of that. Obviously, there's a number that aren't, but, you know, if you want to do it just because you like it, I'm not going to tell you that it's wrong. That's basically how I am when it comes to weed and whatnot. And I don't even smoke weed. A lot of people think I do, but I don't. We should have someone as young as possible allowed for president. They'd be more in touch with the modern generation. Yeah, that's another thing. You know, that's another problem with the DNC that I definitely noticed in 2016 and was definitely the case this year, is they are really out of touch with what people like us actually like, what we actually look for and whatnot. And, you know, this isn't to say that this isn't applicable to the Republicans as well. They're very out of touch as well. And maybe they could take a hint from that maybe, you know, the best way to really reach, you know, the current generation is to actually be in touch with it, you know? I only like Trump because he tells the truth about how the media behaves. Yeah. That's another thing that was actually mentioned in Emp's video. The fact that since Trump was a celebrity for many years before becoming a politician and whatnot, that he actually understands how the media works and knew how to play the media game and whatnot, which is another thing I think that people could really stand to learn if they really want to generate attention for their campaign and all that, is to know how the game is played, basically. I would have voted for Sanders or Yang if they were an option. I'm different kind of hippie, evolved version. I just eat CBD gummies, TBH. For the memes, we should try to get Kanye elected in 2024. I don't know if I want to do that. Mostly because I'm sure most people know how I feel about Kanye and whatnot. And yeah, I'm neutral about Trump since I do believe he has a few good intentions, but he definitely did say some stupid things for sure. Yep. I have no problem with legalization of marijuana as long as that person is responsible. Yeah, you know. Same with, you know, alcohol consumption and cigarettes and whatnot. I mean, I think, you know, what should be done with weed should be similar to what was done with prohibition. Like, you know, the prohibition was abolished and whatnot. It wasn't criminalized and whatnot. And I feel like something like that should be done with weed to make it like less and less criminal, but it's more of an issue of your own personal responsibility and whatnot. Old politician trying to be hip and cool like Biden playing Despacito. Did he actually do that? I feel like I might have seen a clip of Despacito being played with fucking Biden. It's like, oh god. But yes, we don't need any more how do you do fellow kids as politicians. Biden's whole campaign was basically Trump bad. That was my biggest problem with Hillary's campaign in 2016, and that's what I was hoping that their strategy wouldn't be this year. But again, I feel like COVID was really the thing that shifted the paradigm there. This election is a record breaker, with Biden having the most votes with 75 million, set back in 2008 with Obama having 69 million. Biden did not appeal to the young voters. No, he really didn't. Both Trump and Biden don't know anything about science. Most of the current generation doesn't even know. I'm gonna read this in a different voice whenever I look at layman talks. Most of this current generation doesn't even know what form of government America is. They don't study history or basic rights/law. If we voted for Kanye West, it would be like the movie Idiocracy. Then Mike Judge was right about our future. Fun fact about myself, during the 2016 election, I would have voted for a turkey sandwich on a hoagie roll with romaine lettuce with Swiss cheese because I hated both Trump and Hillary. That's pretty much the reason why I voted Gary Johnson back then, is because I wasn't going to vote for Trump, wasn't going to vote for Hillary, might have liked Trump a little bit more than Hillary, but that's not to say that I really wanted to vote for him at all, because I really didn't. Yes, Biden played Despacito. It was so cringe and was hilarious. Jesus Christ. Like, already it's such a shit meme, but damn. That really is out of touch. Peridot from Steven Universe for president. Yep, there always has to be the good old conspiracy theorists, just like good old Alex Jones. I can't wait to see the tantrum that he fucking throws. We all know what's gonna happen. If he doesn't do anything like that, then holy fuck, he actually has some sense of self-awareness. But that's another thing I really cannot wait to see. Was Alex Jones going, "Yeah! Yeah!" or something like that. Alright, timeout for layman. Thank you. This is why I got chat mods. It's cool. For 300 seconds, it's saying, Alex Jones memes for president. It's just a 5-minute timeout. The frogs are gay. Good on them, I guess. Alex Jones is crazy, but he is entertaining. That's exactly what I was saying in the Don't Watch Could Be Valid video. You know, is that Alex Jones is a meme. Always has been, always will be. He shouldn't be taken seriously. He should be treated like a meme. He should be laughed at, and nothing more. And you know, that's what I do. Whenever I see anything Alex Jones related, I just do it with the intent of laughing, because it's funny. Especially when he went on Joe Rogan and got into that shouting match with Eddie Bravo. That was hilarious. Europe! Yes. Yes. You're gonna see it. You're gonna see that in Mary Dan's Miss 2. You're gonna see something relating to Europe. Can't lie, Alex Jones is a meme god. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded. And then Joe Rogan's just like, he just cracks up. Like, who knows if he was actually being serious with that? Same thing could be applied to Dusty Numbnuts, but at the same time, that's getting old. Yeah. Let's actually go to his channel and see if he's made any video about this. Dustin Nunn. Most recent video was 4 days ago. He's streaming Battle for the Grid Online, Ranked Matches 3. Before that, Ask Dustin episode 15. Oh yeah, and this was one that I was being shown on Discord. 9 reasons why I've lost my respects for President Trump and Judge Barrett. I forget what he was saying on that, but nope, he hasn't made a reaction yet. We will see. I want Biden to be memed the same way as Trump. That would be hilarious. Yeah, it would be great. Because, it kind of proves that there is at least a bit of a bright side or something. Oh dear, Ted Kaczynski Potato. Did someone mention cowboy music, Dead Horse Dustin? Indeed, someone did. Yeehaw. But yeah, I'm hopeful that 2021 is a shit ton better than 2020. Because that would be nice. Obviously, it's not going to be solely just because of Biden, but just generally speaking. Yeehaw, Texas. I'll bet Dustin actually wishes he was from Texas. Ugh. Is COVID over yet? No. Hopefully it can be soon. I would love for it to be over soon. Like I said before, really banking on the shit being done by March. If it's not, then I'm going to be very, 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 very angry. It would be interesting to see Biden memes, but I don't know if he would be as good as Trump when it comes to that. Whether you love him or hate him, can't deny Trump was an interesting character. Yep. He knew how to make good memes. He knew how to be a good meme. Again, big reason why Emp Lemon's Trump video will really reign true. I think the flaws of Republicans these days is the inability to move past the Reagan nostalgia. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Dead Horse Dustin is from Marietta, Ohio, but yeah, I just hope COVID leaves and life returns to normal. Drift is right. Yeah, pretty much. Because I am aware that, Reagan is basically worshipped by the Republicans. Republicans. There's a short story by J.G. Ballard, and it's called and I shit you not, Why I Want to Fuck Ronald Reagan. I feel like someone showed me that before. It was either with Reagan or someone else. But yeah, something like that exists. Maybe I'll read it live here. That'd be entertaining. Why I Want to Fuck Ronald Reagan. There's a Wikipedia article about it. All right. How long is this? I get that Reagan is a good president in the 80s, but the circumstances are different at the time. Yeah, pretty much. Like, I don't know. I never exactly viewed Reagan as completely terrible, but yeah. Thanks, COVID. I did clean up my cleaned my closet doors, floor, panel, and vacuumed or bit of wipe down. Please work on your grammar, Chelsea. You're welcome. At the 1980 Republican Convention in San Francisco, I should switch to the webpage window. At the 1980 Republican Convention in San Francisco, a copy of my Reagan text minus its title and the running side heads, and furnished with the seal of the Republican Party, was distributed to delegates. I'm told it was accepted for what it resembled, a psychological position paper on the candidate's subliminal appeal commissioned from some maverick think tank. J.G. Ballard. I'm proud of myself. My room is clean or not full dust bacteria germs. Good for you. What Trump needs during his 4-year presidency is a Soviet Union, which he doesn't have. I had a dyslexic moment. Yikes. During the assassination fantasies, Ronald Reagan and the conceptual auto disaster, numerous studies have been conducted upon patients in terminal paresis, GPI, placing Reagan in a series of simulated auto crashes, e.g. multiple pileups, head-on collisions, motorcade attacks, fantasies of presidential assassinations remained a continuing preoccupation, showing a marked polymorphic fixation on windshields and rear trunk assemblies. Powerful erotic fantasies of an anal sadistic character surrounded the image of the presidential contender. Subjects were required to construct the optimum auto disaster victim by placing a replica of Reagan's head on the unretouched photographs of crash fatalities. In 82% of cases, massive rear-end collisions were selected with a preference for expressed fecal matter and rectal hemorrhages. Further tests were conducted to define the optimum model year. These indicate that a 3-year model lapse with the child victims provide the maximum audience excitation, confirmed by manufacturer studies of the optimum auto disaster. It is hoped to construct a rectal models of Reagan and the auto disaster of maximized audience arousal. If MLK was still alive, he was running for president, would you vote for him? Probably, yeah. I just want to tell all y'all right now, I'm sorry for cursing you with knowledge of this existing. In late 60s or early 70s, yeah, as in MLK. I'm sorry, please forgive me for traumatizing everyone. Tallis became increasingly obsessed. Motion picture studies of Ronald Reagan reveal characteristic patterns of facial tonus and musculature associated with homoerotic behavior. The continuing tension of buccal sphincters and the recessive tongue roll tally with earlier studies of facial rigidity, cf. Adolf Hitler, Nixon. Slow-motion sign films of campaign speeches exercised a marked erotic effect upon an audience of spastic children. Even with mature adults, the verbal material was found to have a minimal effect, as demonstrated by substitution of an edited tape giving diametrically opposed opinions. Parallel films of rectal images revealed a sharp upsurge in anti-Semitic and concentration camp fantasies. With the paranoia of the presidential contender, incidents of orgasm and fantasies of sexual intercourse with Ronald Reagan. Patients were provided with an assembly kit photographs of sexual partners during intercourse. In each case, Reagan's face was superimposed upon the original partner. Wonderful. Vaginal intercourse with Reagan proved uniformly disappointing, producing orgasm in 2% of subjects. Axillary, buccal, navel, oral, and orbital modes produce proximal erections. The preferred mode of entry overwhelmingly proved to be the rectal. After a preliminary course in anatomy, it was found that the, I don't know a lot of these words, sanum and transverse colon also provided excellent sites for excitation. In an extreme 12% of cases, the simulated anus of post-colostomy surgery generated spontaneous orgasm in 98% of penetrations. Multiple track sign films were constructed of Reagan in intercourse during A, campaign speeches, B, rear-end auto collisions with 1 and 3-year model changes, C, with rear exhaust assemblies, D, with Vietnamese child atrocity victims. Man. Damn, this is crazy. Again, sorry for bringing this up. This is a wonderful read. This is Why I Want to Fuck Ronald Reagan by J.G. Ballard. Alright. Meditated to him by 1,000 television screens. Sexual fantasies in connection with Ronald Reagan. The genitalia of the presidential contender exercised a continuing fascination. A series of imaginary genitalia were constructed using A, the mouth parts of Jacqueline Kennedy, B, a Cadillac rear exhaust vent, C, the assembly kit prepuce of President Johnson, D, a child victim of sexual assault. In 89% of cases, the constructed genitalia generated a high incidence of self-induced orgasm. Tests indicate the masturbatory nature of the presidential contender's posture. Dolls consisting of plastic models of Reagan's alternate genitalia were found to have a disturbing effect on deprived children. Oh, man. Sounds like something a crazed psychotic fan would make. Something like this probably exists with every public figure. The motion picture studies of Ronald Reagan. Reagan's hairstyle. Studies were conducted on the marked fascination exercised by the presidential contender's hairstyle. 65% of male subjects made positive connections between the hairstyle and their own pubic hair. A series of optimum hairstyles were constructed. Created a scenario of the conceptual orgasm. The conceptual role of Ronald Reagan. Fragments of Reagan's sinetized postures were used in the construction of model psychodramas in which the Reagan figure played the role of husband, doctor, insurance salesman, marriage counselor, etc. The failure of these roles to express any meaning reveals the non-functional character of Reagan. Reagan's success, therefore, indicates society's periodic need to reconceptualize its political leaders. Reagan thus appears as a series of posture concepts, basic equations which reformulate the roles of aggression and anality. A unique analogy of violence and disaster. Reagan's personality. The profound anality of the presidential contender may be expected to dominate the United States in the coming years. By contrast, the late J.F. Kennedy remained the prototype of the oral subject, usually conceived in pre-pubertal terms. In further studies, sadistic psychopaths were given the task of devising sex fantasies involving Reagan. Results confirm the probability of presidential figures being perceived primarily in genital terms. The face of L.B. Johnson is clearly genital in significant appearance. The nasal, prepuce, scrotal jaw, etc. Faces were seen as either circumcised JFK Khrushchev or uncircumcised LBJ Adenauer. In assembly kit tests, Reagan's face was uniformly perceived as a penile erection. Patients were encouraged to devise the optimum sex death of Ronald Reagan. Okay. Jesus. That was something. It's a wonderful read. All right. Apparently a Batman X Spinal fanfic exists. Dude, fucking one thing that Atticus loves doing in his server is reading a bunch of really ridiculous fanfictions to everybody. The stuff that we have to listen to there, it's like, how many times do I have to apologize for bringing this up? Will I be forgiven? Yes, already. I'm vengeance. Yes, you are. I am Groot. No, you are not. I am guilty and ashamed for bringing this up. Oh God, Mike Twattis Frog. Great. Fools like Alex Jones are entertainers and charlatans, feeding on curious minds for profit. Your hubris is strong. I deal with verifiable facts and history. I'm sure you do. I am the table. No, you actually aren't. The table is over there, as well as back there. It's wonderful. Amazing. The fanfics, I mean, yep, they're something. They're very elaborate and kind of outrageous. I mean, like, there's a reason I kind of make fun of fanfiction. Make some jokes, you know, poking fun at it. That reading was sus. It definitely was. Fanfics can be so cringe and also low-key creepy. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, most of the time, I feel like fanfiction is kind of used as a tool to vent out sexual fantasies and frustration and all that. Like, that's the role it kind of serves with a lot of people. And that's why I try to keep a distance from it, because I'm just not really in much of a mood to read about your sex fantasies. Are you open to suggestions for checking out new hard rock acts? Sure, I guess, but I don't know. Not so much with hard rock, but definitely with prog, with alternative metal, with pop punk, with hardcore, to a degree with metalcore, with traditional heavy metal, sure. That's mostly about it. Those are the genres I'm usually the most interested when I come across, a new artist there. Also, fuck you, Tropical Storm ETA. Get the fuck out of here. It's not a named Greek alphabet. Yeah, you mentioned the storm going on in your area. ETA, I always thought was supposed to stand for Estimated Time of Arrival. Oh, I've heard of Stan Bush. He's an 80s AOR artist. He's alright. But yeah, I do know Stan Bush. FM. Every time I think of him, I always think of the hybrid episode of South Park when Stan's playing the guitar and whatnot. I find that I always think of that whenever I think of Stan Bush. Don't worry, one day I shall put pen to paper and write a cheesy horror fanfic about Atticus the server once I've picked 9 potential survivors in a scenario that could work. Oh, goodness. My fave early 90s band is Green River. Green River is mostly known as being like the first grunge band. They're actually from the 80s, like late 80s, and they're okay. Not bad. Any thoughts on the new Deftones? It's great. It's ranked at number 4, I think, as far as Deftones albums goes. My favorite being White Pony, then followed by Around the Fur, then followed by Diamond Eyes, and then this one, I think, comes next. But yeah, it's cool. Currently in my album ranking for 2020, it is at number 9 in my ranking for this year. So yeah, I for sure liked it. Have a good night, evil gangster. SNL had good live band last weekend called The Strokes. I do know The Strokes. Not really that into them, though. They sounded like Foster the People or New Wave. Loved them. And Foo Fighters was on last as well. Oh, that reminds me. One thing I woke up to today was this February, we're getting new Foo Fighters, baby. What did you think of new System of a Down tracks? They sounded like they could come straight from, like, Mesmerize or Hypnotize. Definitely liked them. I had a bit of a preference for Protect This Land. The other one was great as well, especially when it came to the blast beats from Mr. John Dolmayan. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised that those even came out, because for the longest time I always thought that, Surge just did not want to make metal anymore, and System of a Down was just only a thing that he did live just to, be able to pay the bills and whatnot, and he's just putting more of his, focus into his solo stuff, and because of that, Darren is doing more, Scars on Broadway and whatnot. But, it was interesting that, those two came out, and of course it's to raise money for, Armenia and whatever they were doing with that. But, yeah. Quite nice. It sounded like they sounded like, I guess, a natural progression. Like, this is, like, I can imagine that if they had made more music after Hypnotize, then that's probably what they would have done. So it just sounds natural for them. So, yeah. Any upcoming albums that you're pumped for? What do we got for the rest of this year? We got this week Intervals, Pyramaze, and Aesop Rock this week. Then on the 20th, we got Killer Be Killed. And on Dancemas, we're getting a new Plenty. That I am very excited for. And that is all I have on deck for this year. Then I just have stuff for next year written in italics and whatnot. But yeah, that is what I got on deck. SNL was good until 2016. I don't know. I stopped watching SNL by the time I went to college. And from what I heard, it was only going more and more downhill and whatnot. Genocidal Humanoids reminded me so much of BYOB, especially with the energy, so that was my favorite. Yeah, I could definitely see that as being the favorite amongst more people. I kind of like I don't know, but I kind of have a bit of a preference for the slower one and whatnot. I kind of like I liked the riff in that one a little better. Just sounded a bit cooler to me. I don't know if this means that we're actually getting any more new music from System. It would be sweet if we did, but I'm not really counting on it because, again, as far as I could tell, I don't think they exactly really like each other that much. SNL and all other talk show hosts was Trump bad. That was another thing. Another thing I can parallel to Emp Lemon. It's just like in the Jimmy Kimmel video, how Trump was like all the late night talk show hosts were talking about and whatnot. He showed not even just Kimmel, but he showed the pictures of John Oliver, Seth Meyers, and Samantha Bee. And, I liked Seth Meyers when he did Weekend Update on SNL, but, then he moved on to that, and it's like, aw. But yeah. John Oliver, I always really found annoying. Same with Trevor Noah. Can't believe John is using his drumming channel for rants. We talked about this in the last stream, that's what he was doing. He's posting fucking a Q&A and a rant on his fucking drumming channel. It's obvious that he misses ranting. And, you can never truly escape it. Especially when you're just a naturally angry guy, there's always something for you to bitch about, and you always feel this need to bitch. And that's kind of what YouTube served for him. It's not like I can't understand that, but doesn't mean I don't think it's kind of dumb. Let me look at that Has he done anything else? UTF drumming. Nope, nothing new after that second one. So, okay. Yep, Stephen Colbert, Trevor Noah, Seth Meyers suck. I enjoyed Stephen Colbert. When he did the Colbert Report. I remember when he took over for the David Letterman show and thinking, this isn't bad, but I don't think it's going in a direction I would like to see it go in. Though, you know, I can never hate the Roots as the live band over there. Always loved Questlove, the drummer. Trevor Noah apparently hates gender reveals. Stephen Colbert is going to find different sketches for next year. Hopefully, you'll have something better. Yeah, like it's kind of like what I was saying before about the Trump derangement syndrome and the raging at the Twitter and whatnot. You know, maybe that is something that can, you know, pivot a little as well. Like less bitching about Trump now that he isn't president. You know what I mean? Fallon, I just get a fake vibe from. Jimmy Fallon, I always found pretty enjoyable. Conan, I enjoy, though, a little. Same. Really, Conan and Fallon were, like, the two, you know, ones I legitimately found funny. Colbert in the past as well. Jon Stewart as well. Did find them decently funny and whatnot. It's just that Colbert started veering in a bit different of a direction by the time he took over for Letterman. I know Jon Stewart is going to have a newer show on Apple TV, but he is my main inspo, or I love how he doesn't censor himself, plus he owns a ranch, saves animals. Yeah. Well, it's official. Biden is our new president. Yep. Had a big, long discussion about this whole thing at the beginning of the stream, West Coast. You can check that out once this stream finishes processing. Jon Stewart was my all-time favorite. Always knows how to make me laugh. Yeah, I enjoyed Late Show with Jon Stewart. I enjoyed that very much. Lily Singh. Fuck, I forgot about Lily Singh. Oh, God. Lily Singh is just terrible. Like, the more I heard about her fucking show, just the cringier it just sounded. It's like, okay. We're really trying to bring, you know, SJW talking points, and I'm being legit when saying that. We're really bringing that to fucking mainstream television. It's like, come on. This is dumb. How are you, Shady? Doing all right, you know? Just enjoying shit. So did you see how all the maggots were crying their eyes out when they were the ones who left Hillary supporters for the same? Yep, we talked about that earlier in the stream. Talked about how, you know, the tables have turned and whatnot. You know, this election proves horseshoe theory. That is the thing that I really love the most about it. Both supporters are childish, though. Yeah. Ugh. And also, Lacey Green tweeted how relieved she felt now that Biden is president compared to what happened 4 years ago. I remember she threw, like, the biggest tantrum back then. And I also remember, like, that one... She made this one tweet that got featured in an episode of Why Would You Put That on the Internet? By the artist formerly known as Rob Dyke, and he went on this epic fucking rant about why people didn't like Hillary. I should watch that sometime. It's been a while. But that I do remember that about Lacey Green in the 2016 election. But yeah. At least she, you know, calmed down once she started dating Chris Reagan. That was at least nice to see. I don't know if they're still together, but that was at least a nice change of pace. Dude, OMG, who cares about Biden? No one liked him to begin with. Nobody cares. Why are so many people suddenly liking this guy as if he won't screw anything up? He already has a couple times. Dude, please calm down. You are not entirely different from the Layman Talks guy from earlier in the chat who was, you know, rambling about all these conspiracy theories and whatnot. Like, I don't think any of us here are Biden fans or anything like that. No one thinks Biden was, you know, amazing. We had talked about this before. I was talking about how, you know, if Bernie Sanders or Andrew Yang got the nomination, I would have voted for them in a heartbeat. I'm sure they would have done a better job at appealing to people in this generation. So, you should calm down too. Speaking of which, did you find it depressing how lots of anti-SJWs became Trump bootlickers like No BS, Roaming Millennial, Quartering, etc.? Also, I'm glad Lacey Green is now more open-minded. Me too. I did sort of notice that with a lot of people from that part of YouTube over time. I was never really, like, that huge on a lot of them to begin with. I definitely noticed that with Roaming. I never watched No Bullshit or The Quartering and whatnot. Because I feel like I veered away from a lot of the more right-leaning, you know, people there and whatnot. It was really more so the likes of Armored Skeptic, Shoe on Head, Some Black Guy, Chris Reagan, and Blair White were, you know, the people that I actually really cared to watch, you know, throughout that whole time and whatnot. Biden fans are pathetic as hell. They're crybabies. Okay, Peace Boy Rambo 420, time out for you. Yeah. You know. I wonder if that's layman on a sock account. Like, damn, chill out. No need to call people out on things. Yeah. How's it going? Doing okay. This part of my body hurts from where I banged it on the chair in the last stream when I was picking up the guitar. But other than that, doing all right. Probably I'm here, so behave, kiddos. Appreciate your work here. Back from dessert. Also, I remember that I thought Atticus was a Trump bootlicker and didn't like him, but we patched up our differences and he and I are cool. Oh, were you the person whose comment he showed me? But yeah. Really, though, Atticus wasn't so much a Trump bootlicker. He was just anti-SJW and whatnot. And I feel like most people back in 2016 just saw Trump as not a good politician, but just the ultimate middle finger to SJWs. And that's why, Trump was at all sympathized with at all back then. Mostly because that they noticed that he got that reaction from everybody. And that's why I chose to be neither of those things. To not be a bootlicker or a, crybaby about the whole thing and whatnot, and just let everybody fucking, go at it with each other, because I never really cared that much about Trump from the get-go, if I'm being honest. But yeah, that was literally Atticus's rationale behind why he voted for Trump in 2016. Even at that time, I remember telling him, like, dude, that's kind of a really petty reason to vote for someone. On a completely off-topic guitar-related question, does lower tuning equals heavier? I think it sort of adds to it. I don't think it's the default thing. I think it's more so a tone thing than a tuning thing. Daddy Addy at that time was more what Dankula would call an edgy boy. Pretty much. That's what a lot of us were back in those days. Was, Trump appealed to edgy people because he knew how to be a meme, he knew how to make good memes, and that was how he appealed to people. Atticus has become a better person, happy he's making these life choices, not just politics. He's become much more centered, I've definitely noticed, and I appreciate that. Sometimes I feel, though, he acts a bit too guilty, for voting Trump, and it's like, dude, there's no need to, act all guilt-ridden and whatnot. It was a different time back then, and, the best you can really say is, yeah, I voted Trump, and, I'm not exactly pleased with how he's handling things now, so I'm unsure if I'm gonna continue supporting him going forward. I feel like saying that would have been enough to, you know, I guess, put into words that changing perspective and all that. Since you guys mentioned it, Trump isn't a politician. Pretty much, yeah. He was always a businessman, and I'm sure running the country like a business might probably appeal to some people too. But I don't know if that was exactly the smart tactical way to go about things. But yeah, I gave Atticus the Shrek treatment, where I judged him before I knew him and felt rotten for that, which is why I felt like making up for him. What do you mean by the Shrek treatment? Is that to say that you didn't like Shrek at all before watching it? Or is this a reference to, like, to, like, Shrek the Third or Shrek 4 or something like that? Try not to be too quick to judge West. Hunter Avalon is now centered as well. I've noticed that too. You know, I've noticed Shoe on Head shifting a little more too. And speaking of which, if this election was chess, Trump is the white king in checkmate, and Biden and Harris are the black queen and promoted black pawn, respectively. Yeah, pretty much. I guess that makes sense. I don't really know a lot about chess, but I think I understand that. Because the video Atticus put out today, I now have freaking living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time by fucking Tiny Tim stuck in my head right now. They're both Trojan horses. Like, pretty much, actually. Yeah. By Shrek, I'm referring to how in the movie Shrek was judged before everyone gave him a chance. Oh, okay. Yeah. But even then, you know, the thing with Shrek was it was not just the people judging Shrek, it was also Shrek basically wanting things to be status quo. Like, he was perfectly fine being the guy that everyone's afraid of and hates and all that. And that's why he, you know, was reluctant to have Donkey following him when he was, you know, on the mission to retrieve Fiona from the tower for Farquaad. So it's basically both of those things going on there. I feel what you're saying, West Coast. I think it actually parallels more with Harold on Hey Arnold. How earlier on he's basically kind of set up as being kind of a typical bully and whatnot. But as we go on, and especially when there's other episodes that surround him, you know, we see that he has a sensitive side and is actually a good person at heart, and you know, people just needed to see that side of him and give him that chance. You know, I feel that that is a better comparison than that of Shrek. Batman is kind of the same thing, but different story, I suppose. But yeah, Atticus is a good dude. I loves him. He is a swell bro. Might say some weird shit at times, but I love him. I say that because in chess, the white pieces are always first, which implies power. Oh, no, we're not fucking correlating this to race, are we? Something Trump loves because he prefers to do little like a chess king. There you go. Yeah, like, I know that the king pieces are not exactly the, most powerful and whatnot. The king is supposed to basically just be protected by all the other pieces and whatnot. And if the king gets killed, you lose and whatnot. Daddy, addy, ooh, ooh. Uh-huh. Yep. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Coffee chugger, no! Coffee chugger, yes! That's going to haunt my dreams now. All he said was daddy, addy, ooh, ooh. If Trump does well, good. If Biden does well, good. They just need to be a little more professional. Yeah, that's what I said about Trump in 2016. That's what I'm going to say about Biden this year. Giving them benefit of the doubt and, hoping for the best. Because you know me, I'm always the optimist. And, yeah, hopeful that despite the flaws that they definitely do have, they can, actually, work around them and actually do good for the country and the world. It's okay, Mr. Finch. I'm not calling you daddy, mainly because I recognize that's kind of weird. And I say Biden and Harris are black promoted pawn and queen respectively because they're both powerful pieces and because black goes second but managed to beat white like Democrats. There you go. That I didn't really know. Yeah. I mostly just saw it because, Trump's the white side because, he's on the side of white power. So Biden is black by the black pieces by default or something like that. He's not trying to start anything, Chelsea. He's mostly just making a chess metaphor and trying to explain it to someone that doesn't really know anything about chess. Yeah, I know. It's not supposed to be a race thing, funny guy. I was joking with that. Mm-hmm. Yep. There are plenty of, Democrats that are white, just like how there are Republicans that might be black right now, but not for long. Not when the melanin not when the melanin extractor is brought out. Does that mean The White Knight chess piece comes with a complimentary fedora and neckbeard. I'm just on a chess roll because of Deep Blue Story, which is about a supercomputer that beat a chess champion many times. Keeping my eye on chat. Good. Let's just say that of the books that are controversial, Turner Diaries is not going to have a home, and that's all I'm going to say on that, mainly because the book influenced horrible things. And then, fuck Trump, you know? Don't exactly disagree on there, but I'm not going to tell you that you aren't allowed to feel that way, nor am I going to say that no one's allowed to feel that way about Biden. Exactly, funny guy. Fuck both people. Mm-hmm. Fuck politicians in general, you know? And others keeping the chat in check, pun intended. Mm-hmm. What would you say is your favorite board game? Depends what counts as a board game. Like, if Scrabble counts, I would probably say that. Monopoly is also kind of fun. Chutes and Ladders, I remember digging a lot. That's about as much as I tend to go there. To quote Scarface from Half-Baked, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool, and fuck you, I'm out. Hungry, hip, both. Okay, you just look out for trolls or people being nasty. Not you, I, is what you meant to say. It's one key to the right of that letter. I am, right there. Yep. Because I'm not really wanting to deal with any, bitching from either side in the chat. One board game from Europe I recommend is Concept, which is Pictionary on steroids. Oh god, Tiny Tim is still in my head. Ever been to an escape room? No. Tiny Tim, Merry Christmas and God bless everyone. Oh, and which Trump-loving celebrity was the worst to me? James Woods and Scott Baio. Don't forget Chris Taylor Brown, who I'm sure is just loving everything right now. Maybe that's something we should do. Let's go to Facebook and go to Trapped's page. That's the pinned post.
Just another day in the Trapped official Twitter office. No, seriously, I see so many more 100% white people complaining about the horrors of racism than black Americans do. As a half-Mexican dude, all I can do is sit back in amazement at how 40% of the country's white people can be brainwashed so easily to the point where they call black people who support Trump Uncle Toms. They say you ain't black. If that black American doesn't support Biden, are you going to continue this forever? Would 50% of black Americans supporting Trump convince you? What is the percent white liberals? When you believe black Americans can take care of themselves, empower people. Don't convince them they are victims. This is all for your party's power. This isn't about what is best for Americans.
Of course, Ted Nugent. Yeah, there's another one. I love James Woods' Hades. Me too. Yay. Yay. That reminds me, a conversation that I had with Space Metal last night. He's telling me, look at the last 5 letters of your username, and I'm like, oh. I try to celebrate holidays in orderly fashion. Thanksgiving, then Christmas. I hate when people try to push it early. You can't blame people for being excited, but still. I imagine he's too caught between yelling at nerds and sending OnlyFans links on Grindr to actually do anything himself. Yep. Oh, and I noticed a pattern in which celebrities that support Trump are always has-beens like Chris Taylor Brown, Scott Baio, James Woods, Kirstie Alley, Aaron Carter, etc. Warning, this is going to be a divisive statement I'm about to make among you guys, so prepare your butts for this. From my standpoint, this election ain't over yet. Biden's win was not fair at all. I mean, he passed the finish line before Trump did. I kind of agree that it's not over yet, considering that... Let me go over to a new tab. Election results. We're still waiting on fucking North Carolina, Georgia, and Alaska to freaking just call already, you know? Like, what really do you have to wait for at this point? The fact that the mysterious thousand upon thousands of mail-in ballots that suddenly appeared early in the morning following election night in some of the battleground states were all for Biden only. I feel that's because most of the people that were, voting early were the people taking COVID seriously, and most of the people taking COVID seriously were people that weren't voting for Trump. And the fact that Republican poll watchers were denied access to observing the vote counting in the battleground states that had these sudden mail-in ballots, it's completely clear at this point that there's tons cheating going on in these states, and the radical left-wingers are attempting to steal the election from Trump. That I'm not sure if I agree with. Trump and his people are not so easily defeated. They aren't the type of people to easily let this go as it is. This will eventually get to the U.S. Supreme Court, and we'll find out what happens. Trump isn't Mitt Romney. He's a completely different person. What's another funny thing over here? He endorsed Proud Boys, apparently. Oh, hey, there's Chris. Haha.
If we don't use watermarks of some kind in official state ballots that could make it easy to know if fake ballots were copied, we are not smart people. Something similar to U.S. currency watermarks. Did our government even discuss ways to make sure ballots could not be duplicated?
I'm pretty sure they have.
Why was that not a thing? I hear California does this watermark thing, but I've not heard of any other state doing it. Anyone know anything about this?
Sounds more like conspiracy theorist crap. Well, at least you didn't go full layman speaks on us, Hair Brony. Yeah, I appreciate that. But yeah. This is how he is coping. And with Kanye conceding, it reminds me how insulted I feel with Kim's pity party to him because he's bipolar, and that's why they did with Chris Chan and I'm autistic, mental health is no excuse. Trump is Diet Rick Santorum at best, and I think comparing him to Hitler is kind of dumb. I always thought comparing him to Hitler was dumb. I think comparing anybody to Hitler is dumb. There's a reason why the term Godwin's Law exists. Whoever wins from a month ago, I couldn't wait for this goddamn election to be over. Going to celebrate by blasting Rat Out of the Cellar repeatedly till my neighbors break down my bedroom door. That's an interesting album to jam with, Out of the Cellar. Why are so many SJWs comparing Trump with Hitler? Because, that's what anybody does when they want to make a boogeyman out of something. Can everyone cue Everyone I Don't Like is Literally Hitler by Rusty Cage? Being bipolar or autistic is no excuse for people to behave terribly, and people who go, he's mentally challenged, leave him alone, make me sick as an autist, honestly. Yeah, that's one thing that I remember saying in the Dustin Nunn stream, is, like anybody that does that, it's like, oh god, no. It's people like that are the reason I just don't even talk about Asperger's on the internet anymore. It's because of people like that. If Biden wins, cool. If Trump wins, cool. Let's wait and see what happens tomorrow. Didn't you say that already, funny guy? Or didn't somebody already, leave that exact comment already? I feel like I'm experiencing deja vu there. Biden may have passed 270 according to the mainstream media, but that's the other thing. The election isn't officially called by the MSM either. It's called when the election is over, which it isn't. I mean, I can't really say I really care anymore either way, As far as everyone else is concerned, it's basically done and done at this point. Like, all I want to do is just relax. I know you deal with UTF, but were you a fan of the AtticusTheDeathMetaller? Yeah, I was. I'm not a fan anymore, but yeah, I was for a good while. Definitely liked him better than UTF, but honestly, you know, the big reason I don't like Archfiend anymore is because of how petty and dumb his YouTube rulebook basically is. Basically saying, oh, if you put effort into your videos, you're a YouTube whore. If you make any money off your videos, you're a YouTube whore. I know I'm partnered, but I'm different, guys, or stuff like that. They used the Hitler comparisons because of Trump's history with racism and how nonchalant he is about people like Richard Spencer. I forget if he said anything about Richard Spencer. I know he, gave a nod to the Proud Boys in the first debate and whatnot. And there was the whole thing about him saying that, the alt-right has some very fine people in there that I personally think was taken out of context. That's basically him trying to do the both sides thing, which, I understand him wanting to do, but, other than that, I'm not sure it was the smartest way to put it. But yeah, that's basically where it comes from, but really I think it's just people's natural tendency to say that anybody that they really hate is Hitler. Also, what was Archfiend's beef with iJustine, who I think is harmless? From what I remember, all he really complained about her for was having multiple channels, one of which was a gaming channel. And just the usual shtick like jump cuts and custom thumbnails and stuff like that. Oh, she only has these multiple channels so she can just monetize and just make as much money as she can off of her dumb fans and crap like that. And it's like, you can't really prove that. I mean, they exist for separating your content and whatnot from your main channel and all that. And if people want to watch them, they can. It's there for them. So, that's my best idea of what I remember was what he complained about iJustine all about. I never cared about iJustine either way. Trump could have worded the both sides thing better. Exactly. West Coast, please stop with the dead horse incantation. I can't pack any holy water. But yeah, Archfiend's beef with iJustine was so stupid because she's honestly pretty cool. She had the malaria video with ads on it, pretty much that's another thing. I never really liked the profiting off tragedy thing, because the thing is, professional news organizations make money off of reporting similar things, but yet it's bad when a YouTuber does it, apparently. I thought that was a really dumb double standard and whatnot. Which is why I was never one of these people saying, oh, how dare you profit off tragedy and whatnot. And that's why I don't really care when anybody does it. I don't really care what you monetize on YouTube. I don't think it really matters at all, personally. Misanthropony is very entitled. I never liked Misanthropony. I always thought he sounded like an asshole. Especially when it came to the sort of anti-nostalgia critic hate boner that he kind of has. Was Death entertaining to 13-year-old me? Who's more toxic, Misanthropony or Lily Pete? I'm pretty sure most people would say Lily Pete, even though I don't really know very much about her. Misanthropony, I just think, is kind of an asshole. I don't think he's as dangerous. He's just somebody that I think just has a douchey attitude. Misanthropony is way more toxic. Okay. I suppose that's valid. He's definitely an asshole either way. All his videos are, wah, nostalgia critic bad, pretty much. It's like, you're free to not like Nostalgia Critic. I don't entirely disagree when people say that his newer videos aren't as good as his classic ones. But honestly, the hate boner some people have for him kind of annoys me. That's pretty much the reason I never really liked A Salieri either, is because he's pretty much the same way with that. I also noticed the metal you listen doesn't have an aggressive sound or screams like black metal or death metal. I mean, there's death metal I do like. There's also metalcore that I like. There's music that involves screaming that I can enjoy and appreciate the art to screaming. But yeah, my favorite metal subgenres are pretty much just boil down to progressive metal, alternative metal, glam, of course, and a lot of traditional stuff, some thrash, power metal, some, and very small amount of industrial bands, and, good bit of metalcore and all that. Some deathcore, not a whole lot. And, the few death metal bands that I am into. It's just the really brutal shit that, I just couldn't really get into. I appreciate you bringing light on underrated early 90s hard rock or glam bands like Hardline and Wildside. You're welcome. I appreciate that. I think the only subgenre of EDM I think is a bit like metal is industrial for the aggressive sound it has. Mm-hmm. Then you haven't heard of Agrotech? Check out one called Sick Vicky, which is local to me in the Philly area, called Sick Vicky because it was produced by Steve Plunkett of Autograph. Any cartoon characters you imagine as metalheads, to me, Bart Simpson and Astrid Humferson from The Simpsons and DreamWorks Dragons, respectively. Bart, I could see as being more of a punk fan than a metalhead. Like Sum 41, I could see him digging. How about, I'm not really too sure, to be honest. Chris from Family Guy, I could definitely see, yeah. largely to do with the episode where he fronts the metal band and sings the Evil Monkey song. Oh, and Poe of Kung Fu Panda because Jack Black, of course. Of course. All right. I'm thinking of heading out for my Sunday night runs in a bit. Before I go, I'm going to play through my speakers. Of course, Timmy as well. Of course. I'm gonna play audio from the intro of Mary Dance Miss 2 to keep you on the edge and give you some anticipation.
Hey guys, RanterInShades here, exercising my first Memorites vlog style. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving yesterday. Now, as you know, today's supposed to be Dancemiss, aka Early Christmas. You can tell with the Goomba hat that, yes, I still have. But if you haven't noticed, the leading prophet of Dancemiss, Undertaker Freak 1127, aka Undertaker Finland 1127, aka AEW Freak 1127, decided to delete his channel before creating a new one with the same name after saying he was done with YouTube, which totally isn't at all hypocritical, and then deleted that one. And all this got me thinking, what does this mean for Dancemiss?
And that is where I will stop it. You will have to wait until it premieres. All that the American people deserve is a completely fair and clean election. If hardcore Democrats were playing this fair, they'd have nothing to hide, which they are because they're cheating. With all that said, I personally still have faith Donald Trump, and hopefully he'll prevail when this election is over and cleared out. That's all I'll be saying on this matter. Now I'm off to play some more Pokemon Go. Have a good night. And yeah, thank you guys for hanging with me. This was cool. Appreciated the engagement here. And, yep, Europe too. But yeah, have a good rest of your evening, and, may God have mercy on us all, I guess. I'm Shades.